You know this line. You've read it 100 times. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. You've heard it in sermons. You've seen it stitched onto wall hangings, printed under sunsets, folded into the way people talk when life gets heavy. Well, that's just my cross to bear. It has become one of the softest sentences in all of Scripture. A gentle word about patience, about carrying your burdens with a little grace. And the people who first heard it would not have recognized that sentence at all, because for them, this was not a metaphor. It was a picture. A specific, recent, blood and dust picture of a man they could see in their minds the instant the word left his mouth, and it made the crowd go quiet for a reason you have probably never felt. So forget the wall hanging. Forget the sunset. There is a detail buried in this sentence that, to the people standing there, was a gasp, and I've been saving it for the end, because it changes everything about what this man was actually asking. Let me walk you into that crowd. Here is the version living in your head right now. A noble, abstract instruction. Take up your cross means, accept the hard things. Endure the difficult relative, the diagnosis, the job you can't stand. Bear your suffering quietly and keep walking. The cross, in this picture, is whatever weighs on you. It is private. It is internal. It is, honestly, a little vague, a sanctified shrug at the fact that life is hard and we all have our load to carry. That reading isn't evil. It's just not theirs. It's a postcard of the scene that has been sitting in the sun for 2,000 years, until the original colors have almost completely washed out. And we've spent so long looking at the faded postcard that we've genuinely come to believe that's what the painting underneath looked like. It isn't. Not even close. So let's clean it slowly, the way you'd clean a real painting, one layer at a time, until the color that was always there comes back up out of the grime. We start with the single word everyone thinks they understand. The word. Cross is already lying to you, or rather history has quietly swapped it out under your feet and never told you. When you hear cross, you see a finished object, a polished religious symbol, a shape on a steeple, a shape on a chain around someone's neck, a thing that already means faith, hope, salvation before anyone has said a single word about it. You inherited cross preloaded. It arrived in your mind already holy. They did not. The Greek word here is staros. And if you open the classical Greek lexicon of Liddell and Scott, the great dictionary that tracks how a word was actually used across centuries of writing, you find that stauros, for most of its long life, was an utterly ordinary word. It meant a stake, an upright pole, a post you'd sink into the ground to build a fence or a palisade. Homer uses it that way, centuries before Rome. There is nothing holy in it. There is nothing even violent in it, to begin with. It's a piece of wood, standing up. That's all. And then Roman power got hold of that plain little word. By the 1st century, it had been bent into a new shape, narrowed, in the right context, to mean one specific thing. The device Rome killed you on. Not a symbol, an instrument. The word your audience heard had no steeple in it, and no chain around anyone's neck. It had splinters in it. It had recent memory in it. It pointed at a tool, the way the words noose or gallows or electric chair point at a tool flatly, without decoration, straight at the machinery of death. That's your first correction, and it's a big one. You've been picturing the symbol. They heard the equipment, but a word is only as heavy as the thing it points to. And to feel the weight of this one, you can't stay here, in the present, with your inherited picture. I have to take you back. About 2,000 years back, to the road where the equipment was used. Step back. Stand on a road in Galilee. It's dry. The dust here is fine and pale, and it gets into everything: your sandals, your throat, the hem of your clothes, the corners of your eyes. The sun is hard. Off to the side, there's the smell of animals and cooking smoke, and the sourness of a town that has no plumbing. The road outside a town is not a quiet place. It's the opposite of quiet. It is the busiest strip of ground for miles traders. Carts, pack animals, people streaming in for market and back out toward the fields, children underfoot, soldiers when there are soldiers. This matters more than it sounds. Because if Rome wanted you to see something, this is exactly where they would put it, not tucked away, not behind walls. Here at the gate, on the busy road, where no one could come or go without passing it and looking. And the people on this road have seen crucified men. Not in a painting, not in a story carried from some far-off capital. Here, on ground like this, against a sky like this one. Listen to what the historian Josephus tells us, a man writing within living memory of this whole period, our best witness to it. When Herod the Great died, around 4 years before the conventional date we give for Jesus' birth, revolts broke out across this very region. Rome sent a general named Varus to crush them. And Josephus gives us the number, flatly, the way you might report the weather. 2,000. 2,000 men, crucified, to stamp the region back into obedience. And the heart of that revolt included Sepphoris, a city close enough to Nazareth that you could walk there and back in a day. Stay with that geography for a moment, because everything turns on it. This is not a foreign horror, imported from Rome to spice up a sermon. This happened in the towns and along the roads of the very place this teacher grew up. 2,000 crosses in Galilee and Judea, roughly 1 generation before any of these words were spoken. Which means the people in this crowd are not straining to imagine something exotic and far away. Many of them, and I'll be honest, this part is reconstruction. We can't put names to faces in that crowd, but the timing is almost impossible to escape. The older ones may carry the aftermath in their own memory. The younger ones grew up on the story, told by parents who were there. The roads lined with uprights, the smell that traveled on the wind for days, the bodies deliberately left up long after death because being left up was the entire point. Rome did not crucify people in order to kill them. Killing is easy. There are 100 quiet ways to kill a man. Rome crucified people as a performance. A slow, public, open-air advertisement, staged on the busiest road in the district, whose only message was, "This is what happens to anyone who forgets who is in charge." So picture it fully now. You're in the crowd. The sun, the dust, the noise of the market that does not stop. And a teacher among you says, one word, stauros. And not a single person here thinks of jewelry. Not one of them thinks of a steeple. They think of a hillside they have walked past. They think of a shape they have seen, more than once, standing black against the evening sky with something on it. The word doesn't land in their imagination. It lands in their memory, in a part of them that flinches. That is the room you are standing in now. Hold on to the feel of it, because we are about to look directly at the one detail inside the sentence that every person in this crowd catches in an instant and that you have walked straight past your entire life. He doesn't just say a cross. He says, take up your cross. Carry it. Yourself. And here the picture sharpens into something very specific, though I want to be careful with you right here, because this is the exact spot where popular teaching gets far more confident than the evidence actually allows, and I'd rather give you the truth than a clean lie. You've seen the movie version. A man buckling under an entire enormous timber crossed the whole shape. The full structure dragged the length of the streets. Here is what serious historians actually think happened. And, just as importantly, here is how sure they really are. The leading reconstruction is that the upright post, the stipes, usually stayed put, fixed in the ground at the execution site, reused over and over. What the condemned man carried was the crossbeam alone. The patibulum, a single heavy bar of wood, laid across the back of the neck and shoulders, arms frequently lashed over it so that a man was marched toward his death, already locked into the first half of the very position he would die in. But here is the honest part, the part the sermons skip. A 2020 study in the journal New Testament Studies by a scholar named Ruben van Wingerden went back through the ancient sources. Everyone quotes for this. Carrying the beam practice, and found the evidence thinner and far more debated than almost anyone admits from a pulpit. Other scholars pushed back hard. The argument is still live, in print, as we speak. So I won't hand you false certainty dressed up as history. What we can say, fairly, is this. A man, carrying his own crossbeam to his own execution, was a real and recognizable image in this world, recognizable enough to be dropped into a single sentence and understood by everyone instantly, with no explanation needed. And that is the detail this crowd cannot miss. A man carrying his own beam was not a man with a heavy load on a hard day. He was a man already sentenced. The carrying was the procession. It was the public walk of someone the empire had already filed under. Dead, moving down the busiest road in town, on purpose, so that everyone would watch him go. You did not carry that beam in private. You carried it through a corridor of faces you knew. Now hold that image steady, the man, the beam, the watching street. The people turning to look and then turning away. Keep it right in front of you, because now I am going to read you the sentence one more time. If anyone would come after me, let him take up his cross and follow me. Read it with the crowd's eyes, and it stops being about endurance altogether. He is not saying, tolerate your hardships. He is saying, pick up the beam, get in the procession, walk the road of the condemned out loud, in the open, where every person you have ever known can see your face and follow me down it. And it cuts deeper than death, which is the part that truly turns the modern reading inside out. In the Roman world, crucifixion was not simply the most painful way to die. It was the most degrading a punishment with a social class welded onto it. They had a name for it, the slave's punishment. It was for slaves, for pirates, for rebels and runaways, for people with no standing, no protection, no name worth protecting. The Roman statesman Cicero, and I'm giving you the sense of his argument here, not quoting him word for word, argued that crucifixion was so far beneath the dignity of a Roman citizen that the very word cross should never even reach a citizen's ears, not be done to him, not be spoken near him. The word itself was treated as a contamination. So, feel what is actually being asked on that road. Before a single nail, before any physical pain at all. Take up your cross meant, accept the category, step down, on purpose, into being publicly reclassified as the lowest kind of person your society recognized, a condemned slave, walking a slave's road to a slave's death, while the respectable people along the way look down, or look away, or worse, recognize you. Try, just for a second, to feel that fall. Not the fall of grief, which comes to everyone. The fall of status chosen, deliberate, with witnesses, the kind you don't climb back out of once you've picked up the beam. This is reconstruction of a feeling, so I hold it loosely, but the social machinery underneath it is solid. And it points one way. This is not a call to bear pain with dignity. It is closer to a call to lay your dignity down on the road and walk on without it. To volunteer. In front of everyone. For the disgrace. That is the gasp. That is what moved through the crowd in the half-second after he said it, the thing you have been reading politely past for years. Not, this will be hard, but he is asking us to carry the beam. And now you're standing in it. The dust on the road, the market noise that does not pause for one condemned man. The word storos landing in memory instead of imagination. The beam across the shoulders. The corridor of faces. The category you cannot climb back out of once it's on your back. Read from that spot, from inside the crowd, with their history in your chest, and the sentence isn't soft at all. It is one of the hardest things ever said out loud to ordinary people. And the people who first heard it knew exactly how hard, because they had walked the very road it pointed down, and they had seen what waited at the end of it. The text never changed. Not one word of it. The only thing that ever changed is where you were standing when you read it. You had been looking at the faded postcard your whole life, calling it the painting. And the real colors were there the entire time under the grime, waiting for someone to put you back in the crowd and let the light hit them again. You've read this 100 times. Now you've been there. So here's what I'd ask of you. Read it one more time, tonight slowly, standing on that road in your mind, and then tell me, down in the comments, which word floored you, which detail had been hiding in plain sight the whole time, and tell me which scene you want to stand inside next. There are 100 more of these sentences you're certain you know, cold, that come apart the moment you're standing in the right place to feel them. Pick one. I'll walk you into the room.